Greetings. My name is LHolley. I'm an assistant principal at Aberdeen High School in Harford County, Maryland. And I want to talk to you about two things, perspective and empathy. Here in Harford County, we talked a lot about mental health awareness and taking care of our own. In order to take care of our own, we got to first take care of ourselves. And in doing so, we got together as a group and we talked about how is it that we're going to best be able to serve others in our role as leaders, in our role as teachers, in our role as family members. And we talked about we're all in the same storm, but not in the same boat. And it was actually a poem that we discovered, and reading through the poem and owning what that poem meant as we went through a global pandemic, as we went through a time with racial injustice and police brutality, and with everything going on around us, we all were in the same storm at the same time, but we all were in different boats. And when you consider perspective and you consider empathy, those are two things that can really shape how you act, how you think, how you behave, how others view you. So as educators, for example, it became very difficult for us to have to leave our students, to have to leave our classrooms, to leave our schools, and to go home just as many other folks had to do the same thing, not knowing what the next day would bring, not knowing what tomorrow would look like. Everything that we thought we knew about everything just sort of got thrown into the wind. And you just had to hope. And you hope and you hope. And you sometimes would think that your situation was very, very, very dire, very, very bad. And in that moment, you would start to think to yourself, could things get worse? And surprisingly, as some time went on, some things actually really did get worse. And it's those moments that an analogy came to me, that analogy of, is it better to have a glass that is half empty or a glass that is half full? The power of perspective. And if you take a half-empty glass and you're optimistic, you say, hey, my glass isn't almost empty, it's almost full. And on the other side, if you're pessimistic, you see it the other way. But how often did we forget and take advantage of the fact that we actually had a glass? We had a glass that had something in it. Maybe it wasn't what we wanted. Maybe it wasn't as much as we wanted. But there were some other people, some other folks that just really wish they had a glass. They really wish they had something they could put in it. And it is those moments that you humble yourself. You stop and think. Things could always be worse, but let's be thankful and grateful for what we do have. The opportunity to be receptive and warm, and consider just for a moment that on a sunshiny day, everyone loves sunshine, and on a rainy day, no one likes the rainy day except maybe that farmer who's in a drought that just wishes it would rain so that his crops could get the water they need. And so in this same sense, in this same message, in this same urging, I say to you, let's be mindful of our perspective of how we view things. Let's be more empathetic with how we consider what someone else might be going through and not just ourselves. It is this selflessness that has allowed us here in Harford County Public Schools to continue to be as supportive as we possibly can for our students, for our families, for our parents, for our colleagues, for all of us here in Harford County Public Schools. I offer you two things. Consider perspective and consider the amount of empathy that we show others. Thank you, and have a wonderful afternoon.